Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight I'm going to be talking about, obviously, a business-related issue. I've called it building self-esteem. And the idea behind this, well, it's an idea that started in the late 90s with a discussion between PDO and our catering business, where PDO was interested in changing the way that the people who work in an industry which is really the lifeblood of this country, the oil industry, how they lived when they were out in the field, in hostile areas, in the desert, etc. And essentially, most people were living in porta cabin camps. If you look at a porta cabin camp like this, frankly, it looks a lot like a prison camp. And it's not really a very nice place to come back to after a hard day of work. And so the idea with this discussion with PDO was to improve the life, the conditions of people living in these camps. Now, this isn't an image from PDO, I'd like to say that, first of all. This is probably, one of the worst offenders in the business of housing people, putting 12 people in a box without beds, where they have to prepare their food and sleep and do everything. And it's not really humane, and it's not conducive to productivity. And so the idea in this discussion with PDO was to change this, and how to do it in collaboration between PDO, which is essentially a government-owned entity, and a private business, someone that was willing to invest long-term in changing these conditions. So here it made me think of a psychologist from the 1950s called Abraham Maslow, who spoke about initially five essential human needs. The needs began at the very bottom of the pyramid there. Physiological needs are just the basics: water, air, and food. And then above that, safety and security. And love and belonging is essentially a sense of community, that you belong and there are people around you. And once you have that half of the pyramid, you have the beginnings of self-esteem. You feel confident in yourself. You feel as though you can do things. At the top of the pyramid, the sixth part was actually added later by Maslow, many years later, but the top of the pyramid was self-actualization. Now, self-actualization essentially is just a person really fulfilling what they believe they can do, reaching their full potential. If I have a dream, I can do it because I have confidence in myself, I have esteem. And finally, many years later, he came up with transcendence, self-transcendence at the top of the pyramid, which is once you've taken care of yourself and all your selfish needs, you actually start thinking beyond yourself. You start thinking about your community. How can I help my community? How can I do something for the environment around me? How can I make a difference on a global scale? Can I make a difference to the world around me? And so the idea behind pulling up some of the people that are living in the worst conditions is to move them up this pyramid, and it's win-win. It's win for the employers because they get incredible productivity out of their people, and it's obviously a win for the people that are being pulled out of these conditions. So what did we do as a company over the years? These are some images that I've pulled up from some of our facilities that we've built for PDO. There are, libraries, cinemas, gymnasiums, clinics, etc. And so compared to the porta cabins, this is a nice place to come back to after a hard day's work. And so the idea is, how do we make this an economically viable proposition? And the answer is you do it on a large scale, and you do it over many, many years, which is different to the porta cabin model. Is built for basically whatever the peak number of employees are going to be. That's how big you make your porta cabin camp, and then it reaches that peak and it comes back down, and it's not an efficient way of doing things. I'm particularly proud of one of our facilities in Fahud, which actually has a solar power plant, which is also a shaded car park that provides all the daytime energy for 1,200 people that live in Fahud. So I could argue that maybe here the corporation has moved to the top of that pyramid and is actually thinking beyond just their own selfish profitability, and thinking about how do we take care of our community and the environment, etc., and make a change at that level. And so now I'm going to show you a few graphs which you can look at closer online if you have an interest in this. But essentially, this is an independent study by Colliers which shows the cost of housing people. Our company is the red column, and whether it's 6 people in a room, 4 people in a room, senior executives, or the sort of very senior executives in suites, in every single instance, it's cheaper to do it the way that we do it. So it makes economic sense. And my final slide here, this is a diagram which shows the growth of this business. So we started with 2 facilities of 700 beds each in the year 2000. And by the end of this year, we're going to be at 20,000 beds. And we have ambitions to go to 50, 80,000 beds in the next 5 to 10 years. And most of these people are going to be moving out of sort of really dire conditions into much better facilities. And I have 30 seconds left, so I'm just very quickly going to talk about one of the facilities which we're building in Duqm, which is it's 16,000 bed facility. And there, unlike the deals we made with PDO, we have no guarantees whatsoever. We built it, and the only guarantee we asked the special economic zone was that if anyone comes to compete with us and build a similar facility, they have to meet the specifications that we set. So we're setting our specifications very high, and if someone does come and compete with us, they will be doing a good thing for all the people that are working in Duqm to build that city. And they're going to be up to 30,000 people working there to build Duqm. So I think I'm out of time, and thank you very much. Good night, everyone.